Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for this station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. Now, this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, September the 2nd, 2022. And we have another article about Gladwyn Scott. Unfortunately, this one is a sad one. Manitoba sports icon Gladwyn Scott passes away, by Owen Devereaux. It's fair to say that the athletic landscape in Manitoba wouldn't be nearly as great as it is if not for the dedication of Gladwyn Scott. Scott, who has been a significant figure in both baseball and hockey across the province for as long as any of us could remember, passed away on Thursday, August the 25th. He was 90 years old. I think that was his birthday too. Gladwyn's legacy in multiple sports continues to be felt to this day, along with his many years as a baseball coach, player, manager for his hometown of Hamiota. He was also the president of the Manitoba Baseball Association from 1983 to 87 and a vice president with Baseball Canada from 1986 to 89. Scott was also one of the founders of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame located in Morden. And if that weren't enough, Gladwyn famously served a tenure as a scout, a part-time scout for the Toronto Blue Jays from 1987 to 1993 and the Atlanta Braves from 1994 to 2001. And it goes on to say, but perhaps his crowning achievement on the diamond could be when he served coach on Canada's first national baseball team, which competed in the 1967 Pan Am Games held in Winnipeg. That Canadian squad famously defeated the powerhouse Cuban baseball team at the games by a score of 10-9. Ultimately, these and many other accomplishments over the years would be recognized when Scott was inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in 2008. Gladwyn would keep himself busy in the winter months as well, with just an impactful around the ice rinks of Manitoba as he was on the diamond. Scott coached in both hockey and baseball simultaneously for 34 years, from 1952 to 1986. He also served terms as the president of numerous hockey organizations, including the Manitoba Amateur Hockey Association, which would later become Hockey Manitoba. For those commitments and dedication, Scott was inducted into the Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame back in 2003. While hockey and baseball were his main focus, Scott also assisted with high school athletics as a coach and mentor. In 1962, he was part of the coalition that formed the Manitoba High School Athletic Association. Upon learning of Gladwyn's passing, many organizations were quick to salute the man and his accomplishments. We are deeply saddened by the news of Gladwyn's passing. He was a tireless and highly respected coach and executive in Manitoba and at the national level for several decades, said Jeremy Diamond, the chair of the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame's board of directors. Few people have given more to the sport of baseball in our country than Gladwyn. As well, Brandon University recently paid tribute to Gladwyn with the release of video retrospective of his accomplishments. In total, Scott has been inducted into several different Hall of Fames, including the Brandon University Sports Wall of Fame, Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame, Manitoba High School Athletics Association Hall of Fame, Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame, Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame, and Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Aside from the sporting accolades, Gladwyn was also always a well-regarded and respected member of any community he was a part of. Whether it was the towns of McConnell, Hamiota, or Carberry, he was a notable and passionate contributor to the community. And Owen says, on a personal note, I have had the privilege of interacting with Gladwyn in some capacity or another since 2006. Whether it was my times on radio stations in Brandon, Neepawa, or Portage la Prairie, or in my 8 years here as a reporter with the Banner and Press, I cannot count the number of times I've spoken with him on an array of topics over the phone, and I always came away with some pearl of wisdom or an interesting history lesson. He was a good man, and it was a privilege to know the gentleman in some capacity for the time I did. By Owen Devereaux, news reporter of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Now, also about Carberry, a homecoming in Carberry. Tours of the Carberry Museum and Gingerbread House were just a couple of the many activities put on for the town's day-long homecoming event held on August the 27th. Other activities included a book sale, free public swim, classic car show, dunk tank, and much more. And on page 9, it shows a few more pictures. Neepawa Banner and Press photographer Casper Warehan was in Carberry for the museum and the Gingerbread House tours on August 27th. This was part of the Carberry homecoming event, which was held all throughout the day. Many spectacles were seen at both tour locations. Here we have the general store. This is where you'd get just about anything: games, stamps, cheesecloth, band-aids, and much more. An extensive display of the variety was all available at this section of the Carberry Plains Museum. And here we have a picture of a blacksmith's grindstone that was once likely a common sight for all. These two items were just a couple of the many that could be seen in Carberry's freshly restored gingerbread house. The house has had many owners over the course of the years, but is now unoccupied. These days, it is taken care of by the staff of the Carberry Plains Museum. Here we have some tea tins that caught the eye of the photographer. The tins were on a shelf inside the kitchen. It was their first time seeing tea tins with this unique Eastern Asiatic imagery. Tea tins that they have seen all had Western European styles and imagery. And here we have a vase depicting someone playing music for a child. Interesting. Next, Cats, TNR and Rescue, the big beneficiary of WCG fundraiser. It was fortunately for Cats, TNR and Rescue, Thursday, August 25th was a perfect day for a barbecue. Even more fortunate for the non-profit. The locals that came out to support them were in a very hungry and very giving mood. The charity barbecue, which was organized by Westman Communications Group, WCG, was held at the Neepawa Co-op grocery store. Through the event, $2,017 was raised through the purchase of hot dogs and drinks. WCG then matched that amount, dollar for dollar, doubling the amount to $4,034. Cats, TNR and Rescue fundraiser manager Martha Bennett said the group is grateful for the amazing amount of support from the day. It was fantastic, she said. The amount of people and money that came in was just phenomenal. We have roughly 70 cats and kittens, and this donation is going to go towards vet bills. Believe me, we have lots of those, and they're very high. Lots of cats and kittens need neutered and fed, so this money will be a big help towards that. This event was the third organized this summer by WCG as part of its Connecting Westman tour. WCG marketing manager Courtney Baxter noted via media release that they are very proud to support local worthy nonprofits in this manner. As with the Connecting Westman Tour's previous visits to our other communities, we are pleased with the turnout here in Neepawa and the tremendous support they have shown to us and to their selected charity, said Baxter. We raised and donated more than $4,000 for a good cause. This is a great opportunity for us to connect and give back to the community of Neepawa. Westman Communication Group will wrap up its Connecting Westman tour with its next stop in Roblin on September the 8th. Okay, and WCG also hosts an open house at Neepawa Legion. Representatives from Westman Communications Group were at the Neepawa Legion Hall for an open house event on August 25th. People were welcome to stop in and meet with them from 11 to 7. The open house was part of the group's Connecting Westman tour. Next, Kernels of Hope Begin to Blossom by Ray Balloon. The kernels are popping in a good way for the Evangelical Covenant Church of Canada and its Kernels of Hope program. The project sees Canadian Covenant farmers in several provinces donate their time to grow wheat and canola crops that are set aside to be purchased by virtual farmer donors. These donations pay the costs of rent, seed, chemicals, insurance, and custom work. When the crops are sold, the Canadian International Development Agency then matches the revenue on a 4-to-1 ratio to reach the final amount. That money is then distributed through the Canadian Food Grains Bank and Tier Fund Canada, previously known as World Relief Canada. For the local campaign being staged near Brandon, the growing season started eerily dry. After a while, the west got rain and was off to the races. Now shifting into the end of summer, the west is being harvested first and looking good. My hand is in the picture of the kernels wheat at Brandon in late August. Another week to 10 days and it will be wanting to pop into a combine. With the proceeds from the crops our real farmers are producing, and with the cost being covered by so many of you virtual farmers and the matching federal funds we get through Tier Fund and the CFGB, we are looking forward again to being able to give a hand to our friends in Ethiopia who are learning how to farm at the church demonstration plots and teaching others how to survive in these troublesome times. All right, Minnedosa Barber on the move. Here we have Katie Hunter of Hunter's Barbershop in Minnedosa. She has moved to a larger location. The area barber shifted from the 200 block of Main Street South to 3rd Avenue Southwest, right next to the former Minnedosa Tribune building. The bigger space can now accommodate a larger waiting area with a pool table and flat screen TV. Very nice. And fall registration night brings opportunities to local families. Here's 2 pictures of it. The Town of Neepawa's Recreation Department organized a fall registration night at the Yellowhead Hall on Tuesday, August 30th. About 16 organizations and programs had tables set up for families to sign their kids up for different activities. And here we have a little thing from the Neepawa Drop-In Center, 21-310 Davidson Street, just across from the Legion. We are open and looking for more 55-plus members. There's floor shuffling and floor curling leagues that start September the 12th. Our 4 6x12 pool and snooker tables are available for drop-in play Monday through Saturday afternoons. Cribbage and 500 card games are also played on a drop-in unscheduled basis. Quilting is also done on a drop-in basis. For more information, call Loretta at 204-476-2666 or Dan at 204-470-5915. All right. And this week at the Roxy Theatre, September 2nd and 3rd, the movie is Where the Crawdads Sing. I just heard somebody last night that saw it somewhere and said it was quite good. And on September 9th and 10th at the Roxy, it will be the show called Bullet Train. Now, somebody has written a poem about Manitoba by David P. Carroll of Neepawa, Manitoba. It's entitled, Manitoba is Truly Beautiful. On a warm, sunny day in beautiful and peaceful Manitoba, today, and the sky is so blue and sun is shining so brightly too. And the little birds are singing so passionately in the warm sunlight, and the children are playing in warm, hot sun, and it's so hot today, and it's a beautiful summer's day, and I've been drinking my cold Budweiser all day. And to feel the warm breeze gently blowing all day, and I'm in sunny Manitoba today, and the cherry blossom trees smell so beautiful and gorgeous there, gently blowing softly in the morning wind, and I'm watching the flowers are dancing in. The warm sunlight, there are little faces, are smiling so bright in the warm sunlight, and there, swaying side to side, and it's just a beautiful sight, and the hills are so green and bright, and the grass blowing softly in the morning sunlight. And I'm sitting watching the stars shining in Winnipeg tonight, and it's just so beautiful and peaceful tonight, watching the stars twinkling all through the starry night, and the moon is shining so bright, and it's so beautiful and blue tonight, and the midnight breeze feels so peaceful tonight, and it's time to gently whisper to beautiful and peaceful Manitoba, good night. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up to all the doctors, nurses, and caregivers at the Neepawa Hospital. They are a wonderful group of people, kind, caring, and compassionate. They work, sometimes with a shortage of staff, never hesitating to go out of their way to help us out and give us a smile. Thank you. From Alan Snedden and family. Thumbs up to the town of Neepawa. The residents of Hamilton Street appreciate the new sidewalk. The work crews are top-notch. It makes our community look beautiful. Thank you for doing the work. From Calvary Chapel and the residents of Hamilton Street. And the last one, a big thumbs up to all the kind and generous people who have been sharing their garden produce with us at 110 Legion Place. It is very much appreciated. From Carol Diebel of Gladstone. Alonza Go-Getters 4-H Club Report by Coulter Chirpin. This year, the Alonza Go-Getters 4-H Club offered projects including machines, trapping, foods, and beef. Our club had 5 members and 4 leaders. Our members presented very interesting topics at our 2022 communications events. In the junior category, Aloise Good and Sheridan Sherpin presented a 2-person visual titled Heifer Health. And Ella Davis presented a speech titled A Quick Snapshot About Goats. Emily Turco in the Cloverbud age group presented her speech titled Cute and Cuddly. It was about adorable pandas. In the intermediate category, Coulter Chirpin presented his speech titled The Challenge of the Skidoo. The members moved on to speak at the North Parkland Area Communications event where Emily Turco and Coulter Chirpin placed first in their age groups and moved on to speak at provincials. This year, we were also able to participate in the 4-H livestock show at the Dauphin Fair. Emily received Cloverbud Steer Judging Champion, Cloverbud U Judging Champion, and Cloverbud Showmanship Reserve Champion. Ella and her team were awarded Teen Grooming Champion. Eloise received Junior Steer Judging Champion, Junior Heifer Judging Champion, Junior Ewe Lamb Judging Champion, and Junior Grand Aggregate. Sheridan received Junior Ewe Lamb Judging Reserve Champion and Junior Showmanship Reserve Champion. Coulter did not have a livestock project this year, but he was awarded the Intermediate Marketing Champion. Eloise sold her steer to Dauphin Ready Mix for $5.10 a pound. Thank you, Dauphin Ready Mix. The club had a great time at the fair with their project animals and enjoyed making new 4-H friends. This year, our club raised funds by selling first aid kits, and right now we're currently fundraising by selling challenge coins that were developed with the RCMP. One side has the RCMP on it, and the other side has Alonza Go-Getters 4-H Club. If you would like to purchase one or get more information on it, the club can be contacted through Manitoba 4-H or by reaching out to our members. Our club would also like to thank our sponsors that helped us have a great year. Cap Transport, The Screen Door, Alonza Community Hall Board, Westlake Watershed District, and the RM of Alonza. And here we have pictures of some people laying a solid foundation. The new site for the Neepawa Home Hardware and Building Center on Main Street West was a busy area last week. On Wednesday, August 24th, construction crews were out pouring and leveling out the concrete for the foundation of the new building. Neepawa UCT supports Country Meadows Personal Care Home Activities Department. So here we have John Walsh, the UCT Regional Manitoba Saskatchewan Council number 36 president, pictured here. Recently attended a local UCT meeting at the Neepawa Golf Course. As a thank you for his attendance, the Neepawa UCT asked Walsh to pick a charity of his choice to have a donation made in his honor. He picked a group close to the UCT's heart, the activity program at Country Meadows Personal Care Home. Leonard Pritchard, pictured here, longtime volunteer at Country Meadows, will be delivering the check during his next volunteer shift. Sports. A shot at success on a global stage by Owen Devereaux. A pair of Neepawa archers have successfully locked in and hit their target, earning a place amongst the world's best at the 2022 World Archery 3D Championship. April Willis and Brad Hackewich of the Yellowhead Bowhunters Club will represent Canada at the international competition being held in Terni, Italy from September 4th to 10th. The sport of 3D archery involves a competitor targeting three-dimensional models of a variety of animals, usually out on in the woods. These courses force the archers to adapt their shooting to account for variable conditions, distances, and angles. The duo of Willis and Hackewich earned their spot on Team Canada through their results at the National Archery Trials at Lac La Biche, Alberta back in June. This event saw competitors from across the country participate in 4 categories split into men's and women's divisions. The divisions were bare bow, long bow, compound, and traditional bow. At the end of the national trials, Hackewich podiumed in the men's traditional, while Willis also finished in the top 3 in the women's compound category. They are also the only competitors from Manitoba who were able to make national team, which consists of just 19 people. The Banner and Press was able to sit down and speak with April Willis just before she and Hackewich departed for Italy. Willis first started shooting at around 6 years old and competed for several years, eventually getting good enough to participate in the Manitoba Summer Games in Dauphin back in 2004. After a hiatus from the sport, Willis returned to it in a competitive manner back in 2010 and has been involved ever since. Heading into the World Archery 3D Championship, Willis said it's an honor to be able to represent Canada at such an elite level. With this being her first competition on such a grand scale, she's remaining realistic about her expectations. She said, "I'm just so proud to be able to represent my country. The last nationals I've been able to compete in previous to this year was back in 2019, and this has been the goal since then, to make the national team. I've had people in the past tell me I'm a good archer, and I've always been very, I don't know if humble is the right word, but humble about it. But making the national team was like that, oh, I guess I'm not that bad moment. Now I have a chance to test myself against competitors that are able to do this professionally. But my goal is just to focus on what I can do, shoot like I know I can, and if that affords me the opportunity to the podium, then that's amazing." Shortly before the start of the World Championships, the Banner Press caught up with Brad Hackewich as he made final preparations to leave for Italy. He noted that he had modest expectations going into the national trials as he was dealing with an injury unrelated to his training. He added that powering through and making the national team has been a challenge like no other for him. As for what to expect in Italy, Hackewich said the Team Canada coaches and teammates who already have experience at this level have been very supportive. "I've been speaking with a teammate from British Columbia who has shot on this specific range before. He told me about what to expect from not only from the course, but the entire festivities surrounding the World Championships. I think that has helped to prepare me for what to expect. It's still going to be a very big experience, but this is something that should help keep focus on why we're there," stated Hackewich. Before departing for the World 3D Archery Championship, both Willis and Hackewich were quick to thank their families and friends for their support. They also acknowledged their appreciation to the Yellowhead Bow Hunters Club, which unfortunately had to take a hiatus over the last 2 years due to COVID-19 regulations. As for covering the costs of travel and accommodations, a small fundraiser was held at the beginning of August to help. Some people have also e-transferred donations to help cover the expenses. Anyone who would like to help can contact hackbuilt@hotmail.com or April_Burdeny, BURDENY, @hotmail.com. Hayden Delalloy wins Junior Tamarack by Owen Devereaux. Hayden Delalloy has continued to compile some impressive golf accolades. The latest for the 16-year-old from Neepawa has been the Junior Championship at the 89th Annual Tamarack Golf Tournament. That's at Clear Lake. Delalloy shot a 3-under round of 71 on Monday, August 22nd at the Clear Lake Golf Course to claim the junior title. That performance was a full 3 shots better than Mac Sanderson, who had a round of 74 to earn second place. Other victories this summer for Delalloy also included the Neepawa Golf and Country Club's Junior and Men's Club Championship, which he claimed the previous weekend. And also on sports, back again and ready to hit the ice. Neepawa Titans set to start 2022 training camp by Owen Devereaux. A combination of returning players and new prospects will be looking to impress at the Neepawa Titans training camp. Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said that at least 55 players are expected to be in attendance for the first day of camp, which is set for September 2nd at the Yellowhead Center. From there, 40 of those players will be retained for Sunday's Founders Cup game, the final event of the weekend. Pearson noted that he's very optimistic about the potential this team will have at training camp and going into the preseason. "We like our depth, and there is going to be some healthy competition out there. We're looking forward to seeing our veterans return and see how they have advanced in the off-season, and of course our new prospects. They'll be looking to stand out and give us a reason to keep them here for the regular season, stated Pearson. It's expected that about 15 players from last year's team will be returning. As well, the Titans recently made a deal with the OCN Blizzard for the playing rights to forward Braden Knox, who has 1 year of Junior A hockey experience. Pearson stressed that those veteran players could provide Neepawa with a real solid foundation. We'll have a core group of returning guys that have made the commitment to come back here and do something special this season. They've grown together over the last 2 seasons, and I think we have a real good base. We have leadership that should be very important for our roster. They will push the team to new limits, not just in the games, but also in practice. That'll make our young guys realize how hard they have to work to remain in the lineup and stay with this organization. Pearson was quick to note, however, that just because these players have been here before, that does not guarantee them anything other than an opportunity. As for the season ahead for Neepawa, Pearson expects this to be a team that could be a problem for the rest of the league this year. This is a team that will put in the work. We hope to play at a fast pace throughout the course of a game, and that's going to require some real conditioning. That type of thing is built in practice. I think with our defense, we have some good puck movement players back there and up front, and we have guys that will be able to exit our zone and press into the opposition zone at a good speed. That's the type of team we could be, one that has the opponents on their heels. Training camp for the Neepawa Titans will be September 2nd to 4th, while preseason will take place from September 6th to the 10th. The regular season home opener will be Saturday, September 7th at 7:30 p.m. versus the 2022 MJHL champions, the Dauphin Kings. And here's about the trade. Just prior to the start of training camp, the Neepawa Titans had made one more move to shore up their roster. The team announced that it has acquired the playing rights to 18-year-old forward Braden Knox from the OCN Blizzard. In exchange, OCN is receiving a conditional 5th-round pick in the 2023 MJHL Bantam Draft. Knox, who is from Carberry, played 39 games for the Blizzard in his MJ rookie year, tallying 6 points. He played his AAA hockey with the Southwest Cougars. Titans head coach and GM Ken Pearson said that he is looking forward to seeing what Knox is capable of here in Neepawa. I think he is the type of player and person who should fit in with our group. I know he is real familiar with a lot of the players on our team. As well, his work ethic and the way he handles himself on and off the ice is the type of character that we want to bring in. Knox will be in attendance at the Neepawa Titans training camp, which is scheduled to begin on Friday, September 2nd at the Yellowhead Center. Now on to Neepawa Blue Dolphins news. Some of the Blue Dolphins ended the swimming season on high notes. Newcomer to the swimming circuit, Riley Wilson, captured 3rd place for most points by an 8 and under girl. Austin Nadeau took 1st place in the 9-10 boys with total points of 417. His closest rival was at 361. Age 11-12 girls had Ann Crossan win first with 443 points, and Taylor Jacobsen grab hold of 3rd with 335 points. Age 11-12 boys had J.C. Smith take 2nd with 349 points, just 40 points behind the 1st place finisher. Age 13-14 girls had sisters Ashley Nadeau in 1st with 485 points and Alyssa Nadeau at 444 points in 2nd place. Age 15 and over girls, Cammie Smith took 1st with 482 points. 2nd went to her sister Cassidy Smith with 457 points. Swimmers earned 20 points for finishing 1st in races, 17 points for second and 16 points for third. As well, Riley Wilson set a new record in the 50-meter backstroke. Alyssa Nadeau set the record for fastest time in the 25-meter breaststroke, while sister Ashley set new records in the 25-meter freestyle and 25-meter backstroke. Looking back in history, some records still stand that were set by the likes of Jamie Graham, Erin Dick, Kaylin Rowe, Carla Nelson, Alex Deloy, and Caden Critchlow. Find all this at www.swim-manitoba.mb.ca/summer meet results. A huge congratulations to the above for winning top honors. Well, I'll read this opinion article. It's entitled, "How Are We Going to Change the Look of Healthcare in Canada?" by Lori Garlick. Recent news from the Manitoba government has given some hope for relief to the nursing shortage. Nurses and healthcare aides, HCAs, are talking about, for the most part, safety first and always. They are right in their concerns that qualified staff need to be confirmed by our nursing college. I found I was aligned with this, but had my own thoughts as a retired nurse in these areas. There's about 13 points. Number 1, we need to maintain nursing standards and safety for patient care. Number 2, provide additional education spaces in the BN and LPN program. Number 3, training in hospital settings should start after 4 months of study, and students be paid a compensatory wage for the work they are doing. Number 4, licensing nurses in Canada should be equal across all provinces so we can work as we want and where needed. Number 5, training programs for healthcare aides should be subsidized. Number 6, positions need to be more full-time like other careers, with the option of sharing a full-time 50-50 with another person. Number 7, nurses trained in the Philippines are proficient in English and can be readily hired. The aristocracy in many countries can afford exceptional education to train their sons and daughters as a nurse, but many choose to become MDs. Consideration of fast-tracking these MDs is a must. Number 8, the working conditions are very difficult for many nurses and HCAs. Working short-handed causes the continuous cycle of worker fatigue. An average nurse and HCA walk 6 to 10 kilometers a 12-hour shift in a care home or hospitals. Number 9, volunteers should become trained people and paid to come in and feed patients and offer them fluids, provide music or visual and emotional stimulation through planned programs outlining the appropriate interventions. Number 10, HCAs need available supplies to perform daily care and manage patient care. Supplies need to be in strategic places to prevent excessive walking on a 12-hour shift. Number 11, the system of delivery of care can be improved and greatly supported with the incorporation of trained retired nurses and HCAs. This would give an opportunity for part-time work as badly needed living assistance. This would supplement the personal care homes, hospitals, and home care, especially needed staff in rural areas. Number 12, pay healthcare professionals and HCAs contracts with paid sick time. Change the taxes on hourly wages, not increasing taxes paid on overtime. The dysfunctional tax system has to stop. When a nurse or HCA works overtime, they actually make less money as the hourly wage is taxed higher. Clearly, the Conservatives and NDP have played a major role in the failure to reduce unnecessary multi-layers of issues in management. The workers have borne the brunt of everything. And lastly, 13, agency nurses have been an important contribution to us in the care we've all received. The healthcare facilities were forced to employ agency nurses due to the combined effect of all the reasons listed above. Many nurses and HCAs, when knowing an agency person is working, the day shift will call in sick for a much-needed rest. In conclusion, many, if not everyone working or retired from working in healthcare can lead the way to changes that will work, will be cost-effective, provide basic needs, and more for every patient and their families if you would just ask them. After 40 years working as an RN in regular positions, then as an agency nurse the last 7 years in many facilities across Manitoba, I have seen how the staff have been working to get their ideas heard. These ideas usually fell on deaf ears. When I worked in home care in the 90s, there was such a need for visiting health checks, and only the EMS did this as part of a community care program. We need to reach out with retired healthcare workers to do community health checks. Our EMS are precious and need to be available for emergencies. Our government could save many elderly people from being in the hospital and nursing homes. It starts in one's own community with Manitobans who live rurally, like you and I. Healthcare is a human right. Another old picture from Gladstone's glory years. These are the Boy Scouts from 1912. This photo comes from a supplemental book for the Gladstone's Glory Years series that was made by the Gladstone Age Press. The individuals pictured here were involved with the local Boy Scouts in 1912 and had been attending the Winnipeg Jamboree. And here's some pictures from the Minnedosa Fun Fest, bringing joy to all. The Minnedosa Fun Fest brought entertainment to residents and visitors alike from August 26th to the 28th. Avenues of entertainment for the days included bike decorating, parades, a fun zone, farmers market, car show, book sale, and much more. Pictured above is a horse and buggy that was on the scene to provide rides around the town. An eager crowd was lined up, biding their time to take a turn. And here, this vibrant figure of tall stature was found wandering around during the Fun Fest activities, sure to draw the eyes of all nearby. My goodness. These vehicles were just 3 of several classic or otherwise interesting vehicles that could be seen in the car show held over the Fun Fest weekend. And here we have a variety of vendors that drew the attention of curious shoppers. And here, this vibrant red golf cart, decked out to look like a semi, was an entry in the parade. Others included the Dragon Boat, Inspire Studios, and much more. Okay, I'll go back and read a little bit more. Actually, I did note that the Minnedosa Fun Fest Parade is going to be on NACTV September 6th at 5:25 p.m., September 8th at 1 p.m., and September 11th at 5 p.m. So that will be showing like videos of that Minnedosa Fun Fest if you're interested. All right, Homebodies by Rita Friesen. This week it is called Cousins. Times have changed. Seeing pictures on social media of cousins getting together makes me realize how much times have changed. There were no elaborate gatherings when I was a kid, and we used the term kid. My grandmothers were wise enough to host at least 2 grands at a time. We could never say we were bored or there was nothing to do. Their large gardens always offered an alternative. We didn't bother the grandmas either at this stage of their lives. Both sets of grandparents had live-in help. We went to Nettie or Anne for any of our childhood wants and needs. I got to spend copious time with my male cousins at my home. At this stage, my parents were farmers and Dad's brothers and sisters were teachers, so it made sense that the lads would spend the summer with Uncle Walt and Aunt Rose. Not having any brothers, I was elated to share the workload and the fun times. Cousin B was a hoot. There was the summer of the milk drinking contests. Taking into consideration that the milk was the produce of the farm, from milking to separating to consuming, there was no limitations on the amount we drank. And in the time we drank it, for a dare, B challenged us to drink down a little green worm. We passed, but returned the dare. No problem. Insert little green worm, take a chug of milk, get the giggles, and snort out the little green worm through a nostril. Ugh. High hilarity all around. Blah. It was this same cousin that came up with the idea that we use a 4-letter word, not today's 4-letter words, and with the wonderful rotary dial phone ring up some random person. Using an accent and an unusual name elicited much laughter from the audience. The fun went out of it when he got a person with the same accent and a name that was very close to the fictitious one, that the fun went out of the game. Years later, many years later, for B's children were young adults, I was sharing these memories with them. They were incredulous. There had been no hijinks at the table, and the phone was for business reasons only. What a pity. So much fun lost, with good reason. The other cousin, whose parents were also in the teaching profession, was G. He came regularly all his life. He was as close to as a brother as I got, aside from the weeb boys across the field. There were some summers that G brought a friend, again, lightening the workload and adding to amusement. There was the day we were hauling straw bales, and on a whim we stacked it as high and carefully as we could. It was significant. When Dad got home from summer school, we admired our work, and he instructed us to take the load over to the neighbors. Yikes. Well, it looked good, and it was a fair share. Not everything has changed. As grandparents, Ed and I were able to enjoy wonderful holidays with our extended family. They were times we all remember. All right, so Ken Waddell, right in the center, this week is called Sell the CBC. And he says his views expressed in this column are his personal views and not to be taken as being the view of the banner and press staff. If Pierre Poilievre wins the leadership race for the Conservative Party of Canada, he promises he will make major changes at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's long overdue. Canadians pump $1.3 billion per year into the CBC. In addition, CBC sells a lot of ads and goods for them, and good for them. However, that $1.3 billion in taxpayer subsidy goes a long way towards subsidizing their ad prices, therefore putting them at a great and unfair advantage over CTV and other networks, and over radio and TV stations. Westman's radio stations were just sold to the Pattison Group, and I'm sure they would be happy to not have to go up against subsidized ad rates offered by CBC. Another area of subsidization and unfairness comes in CBC's web-based ads as well. The $1.3 billion in savings per year would be much better spent providing clean and sustainable drinking water into every community in Canada, and increasing the pace at which high-speed internet can be added to remote and rural communities. The CBC was established many decades ago when it was a needed source of information in the then absence of TV, any other national radio network, and long before the internet. It has outlived its mandate and purpose, long ago ousted in purpose by many other media outlets. It's time for it to be sold for salvage value. In other words, cut the losses and the chokehold it has on public discourse. So what should happen to the CBC? It should be simply sold on the open market. Unfortunately, the taxpayers might be lucky to get 1 year's subsidy back. I have no idea what the CBC might be worth, but quite frankly, their programming is pretty much uninteresting to me and many other millions of Canadians. The biggest problem for the CBC is that they are basically pawns of the Liberal Party of Canada. There has been a very snug relationship for decades, and it shows. The CBC has worked hard to make sure that little criticism is leveled at the Liberals, while truckloads of scorn are heaped on any other view, especially if it is conservative or Christian. My disdain for the CBC goes back to my childhood, as the only good programming I can recall from CBC was Hockey Night in Canada. Most of the CBC shows are very much out of touch with mainstream Canada. The last really good radio interviewer they had was Peter Zowski. Well, there was Gian Gomeshi, but in spite of his interviewing ability, his offbeat personal life ran him into the ditch. The CBC has enough problems of their own, but they are plagued by receiving an ongoing stream of left-wing journalism school grads who readily swallow the falsehoods of liberalism, all the while scorning any other view. I had a very personal incident to prove the point. Many years ago, I sat in on a session on editorial writing. The journalism school professor didn't know I was in the room, and he went on at length, scathing an editorial I had written, which was admittedly in favor of the Reform Party. The prof torched my view, and that's fair, but after the session, I walked alongside him and commented that he didn't have much time for the Reform Party. He indignantly said, "Well, they have an agenda of their own." To which I reply, "Isn't that the purpose of a political party?" And he stomped off. It was fine for him to disagree with me or the Reform Party, but he missed the whole point of political discussion and debate, and that is political parties have an agenda. Maybe more to the point, the Liberal Party aren't really clear in their agenda. It's vague and tends to get hidden in the fog. That's why the Liberal Party has been so successful. They're able to be all things to all people without actually standing for anything. The CBC has been their working and willing partner for decades, and it needs to end. Let the CBC go. The good executives, show producers, newscasters, and sports writers will rise to the top in the industry. The rest will find other work, but at least Canadians will save $1.3 billion a year and have a more fair and open discourse. And finally, I'm going to read Faithfully Yours by Neil Stoshine. It's entitled 12 MVLs, Part 1. This coming Tuesday, the doors of Manitoba Public Schools will open as teachers and staff welcome students for another academic year. I am quite certain that this day will be greeted with mixed feelings. Most parents will be happy to see a new school year begin. At least some will argue we will know where our kids are for most of the day. Their children may not share the same views. A few are eagerly looking forward to seeing old friends and making some new ones. Others want to get as far away from school as they can for as long as they can. Occasionally, some may take unauthorized time away from class and have to face the consequences of that choice the next day. I have very few memories of my public school years, but I do recall the life lessons I learned. Beginning this week, I will share the 12 most valuable lessons, MVLs, that I learned from September 1957 through June 1969, my years in public school. Lesson 1. Public schools teach you the basic skills you need to succeed in life. Those skills are being able to read and understand what you read, being able to write so that others can understand what you've written, and being able to do basic mathematical calculations in your head without using a computer or desktop calculator. We learn these basic skills in the same way we learn the basic truths of Scripture, line upon line, precept upon precept. Here are a little and there are a little, until hopefully by the time we graduate from grade 12, we have mastered them. Along the way, we will face significant challenges, and here are just a few of them. For example, when learning to read, we first learn the sounds made by each letter of the alphabet. Then we learn how to put those sounds together so we can pronounce the words we see on the printed page or computer screen. That's the easy part. To read with understanding, we must know what each word means and how, when used together in a sentence, a sequence of words can convey a message to you and me. Learning to write isn't as easy as it looks. We begin by learning how to form letters by hand, first printing them and then joining them together, handwriting. Learning to do this neatly takes time and lots of practice. Then we learn to choose words that, when used in a sentence, convey a message we want others to hear. We must also learn to spell the words correctly and use proper grammar. Spell checkers, grammar checkers, and predictive text are nice tools to have on a computer or smartphone, but don't rely on them. They are good at choosing the wrong word at the wrong time and causing untold chaos when an inappropriate message reaches the one to whom you sent it. I learned my math skills the hard way. I was taught to do the basic procedures, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in my head. I still use those skills today and can, even at my age, do some calculations faster in my head than I can using a calculator. P.S. I do check my work with a calculator just to be sure my brain is still working correctly. This is a skill that, in my humble opinion, every student should learn. Public school teaches you the basics. Learned well, they will give you a solid foundation for future success, no matter what your career choice may be. And on that note, I am going to pause and say thank you very much for joining us for the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press, and hopefully we will see you next week. So, bye for now.